If you're those people that really wanted to see Lumix Lab coming to the S5 and S5IIX, comment below and let me know how excited you are. Also, you can turn on and off that recording time limit on your Lumix S9. The DMW XLR to Panasonic XLR microphone adapter is now compatible with the Lumix S5II, S5IIX and the Lumix G9II. Today, Lumix dropped a few firmware updates to the Lumix S9, S5II, S5IIX and the G9II, and this video is to keep you up to speed with everything that this firmware brings to your camera. I will have a chapter below to each camera and what the firmware brings, but feel free to watch the whole video. First of all, I want to say a big thank you to Lumix for the privilege of sharing all this information with me so early, allowing me to release this video just after the embargo is lifted. Also, thank you to everyone that watched my channel, because without you, this would not have happened. Number one on the list is the Lumix S9 firmware version 1.1, and something that I'm actually excited about is the introduction of recording limit menu, meaning so now you can switch on and off that recording time limit, giving you more creative control as a filmmaker or content creator. According to Lumix, you can shoot up to 38 minutes in MP4 Lite, making this camera a great option for content creator or any filmmaker or professional that want to shoot longer takes. Secondly, a display feature for multiple frame maker has been added to the S9. This means you can frame your shot and see how it would look on 3 different social media platforms, since you can display up to 3 frame marker at the same time, especially when shooting in OpenGate. They have also added touch control to OpenGate, allowing you to change the frame size without changing the aspect ratio, or basically you can move the frame positions around your frame and so much more. Lumix has now added a new functionality to the OpenGate setting, giving you 8 new aspect ratio, which means the Lumix S9 now has 18 aspect ratio in total. You can pick 3 and have them display at the same time. Honestly, this is good for those people that shoot content that end up on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and any other social media platform of your choice. What I do like about this firmware is that you can now assign OpenGate to a functional button, which makes it more accessible than ever, which means you get to save more time when you want to access shooting in OpenGate mode. This versatility makes it incredibly useful for filmmaker, content creator, or basically anyone framing for different aspect ratio or planning content with multiple deliverables, as it really maximizes the use of the entire sensor readout when shooting in OpenGate. Another major improvement to the Lumix S9, it is actually the addition of the autofocus recognition, which was first introduced in the Lumix GH7, which means the autofocus of the Lumix S9 is going to be faster and more accurate than ever before. Also, there is an improved subject detection with new option to detect airplane, trains, a specific part of a car, motorcycle, and so much more, which means this is actually great for those people that heavily rely on autofocus and those that shoot handheld or have your camera on a gimbal. And for those that like the Lumix Lab app, you are going to like this one because its compatibility have been expanded and it now includes remote shooting such as shutter remote control and the ability to transfer images selected on the camera. All these updates make the Lumix S9 feels like a new camera, and I really like how versatile it's becoming. And I know you guys are going to enjoy using it, especially with the remote shutter control. So go and grab the Lumix S9 firmware version 1.1 Let me know in the comments what you do like about it. Let's move on to the next one. Before we continue, I've just dropped another video talking about the Lumix S5D Smoky White, which is a new color that Lumix introduced, and one of the world's smallest, lightest zoom lens with autofocus, which is the Lumix 18-40. Go and watch it. Let's get back into the video. Now let's move on to the Lumix S5II with firmware version 3.1 and the Lumix S5IIX with firmware version 2.1. The first exciting news is the addition of LEICA Monochrome as a photo style. Listen, I was actually excited for this, and I know so many people are not going to get this, but if you are a photographer or you have been planning of getting the LEICA M11, you know how much this means to those people, because now you do have the option to shoot with your color on and off, obviously using the LEICA Monochrome as a photo style, giving you an amazing monochromatic look without having to spend so much money. So that for me is one of the things that I really like to see coming in the S5II and S5IIX. This firmware also brings compatibility with the Lumix smartphone app. I don't know if you understand how much we wanted this feature on the S5II and S5IIX, because when this was introduced in the Lumix S9, so many people wanted to see this. By the way, if you're those people that really wanted to see Lumix Lab coming to the S5 and S5IIX, comment below and let me know how excited you are, because when we saw this, we start asking Lumix, can you bring this? And it's honestly good to see them finally listening to their users. Lumix, I'll buy you a drink. And the reason why I'm gonna buy you a drink is because, in my opinion, the Lumix Lab will make the S5II, S5IIX and the G9II very exciting to use, especially for those people who are not planning to sell their camera very soon. It's gonna feel very updated, not outdated. You get me? Another awesome feature is that real-time light can now be assigned to a functional button, giving you the ability to access up to 39 color presets in camera, which is so good because this saves so much time when you're shooting those faster turnaround projects. This is good for the Lumix S5II and S5IIX and the G9, which we are going to talk about very soon. Perhaps the biggest news in all these firmware updates is that the DMW XLR to Panasonic XLR microphone adapter, the one that we all know from the GH7 that allow the GH7 to record 32-bit float recording, is now compatible with the Lumix S5II, S5IIX and the Lumix G9II. But when you use that on this camera, you can't do 32-bit float recording. In my opinion, this is still a great option because you now have a good and small camera that offer amazing image quality and professional and clean sound when using professional microphone with the DMW XLR2 adapter. I wish I did have this when I was doing my short features. If you've not seen that video, go and check this out. Also, the last thing coming to the Lumix S5II and S5IIX is the addition of the 5 GHz frequency option that has been added to the 2.4 GHz, which means fast speed and less latency. Now let's move on to the Lumix G9II with firmware version 2.2, and this is very similar to the previous, which is the S5II and S5IIX, and basically they've added so much compatibility with the Lumix Lab smartphone app, the real-time LUT and the DMW XLR2. They've also added the Wi-Fi frequency option, 5 GHz, in case you don't know. And honestly, like I mentioned, This firmware is making this camera more versatile than before. I know this is very exciting for all Lumix users, and if you really want to get access to those firmware updates, I will leave them in the description. And here are a few things that you must know. Number one, when you use the DMW XLR2 microphone adapter with the Lumix S5II, S5IIX, and the Lumix G9II, 32-bit float recording is not available. Number two, recording time can vary based on the environment and how the camera is being used. If the camera overheats, it will stop recording automatically, even if it's set to record without a time limit. Obviously, Lumix allowing you to turn this on and off is just giving you that extra flexibility when shooting longer take, but that doesn't mean the camera will not overheat if you push it too much. So it's good for you to know when to start and when to stop. And lastly, depending on your location and your location regulations, you might be restricted from using the 5 GHz frequency band outdoor, and if this applies or if this happens, use the 2.4 band for Wi-Fi connection when shoot outside. So guys, that is all for today's. As I've mentioned, I've just released the S5D video S9 smoky white. That's the brand new color that Lumix introduced, and the all amazing small and lightest zoom lens with autofocus, which is the 18-40 video. Go and watch it. And also thank you so much for watching. If you're new here, like, subscribe, and I'll see you when I see you.